Tifu and was almost cooked alive. Trigger warning. If you have issues with tight spaces, restriction or complete helplessness, you might want to pass this one. An NBSP. So like most, this didn't happen today, but 5 days ago I almost died and I'm still processing it. By making this post, I'm hoping I can further process the event and also spread some awareness about the locks that lead to me being cooked alive. An NBSP. I'm a hydrovac operator. I use a high-pressure water gun combined with a air-moving system to make holes in the ground and expose utilities. This allows techs to safety work on or install things with minimal safety risk. If you've seen different color lines of paint on the ground, most likely someone like me is coming soon to work on your property. Sorry about that. I've been doing this for 6 years and I've finally landed a good company and was given a new truck. Unfortunately, the truck went down after 5,000 km due to a manufacturer problem. They gave me a new replacement truck until mine was fixed. An NBSP. On Tuesday I had just finished up a hole when I noticed my water gun's tip was leaking and I needed to reapply the plumber's tape that connects it and also had to go to the washroom. We have 2 big walk-in cabinets on the trucks that are connected. One houses the boiler, pump and heater, and the other is a walk-in personal area for wet clothes, rain gear and whatever you want. This personal area is often used to go to the washroom when you don't have a public facility nearby but still have to go and don't want to be charged with indecent exposure. My tape was in this area on the top shelf. So 2 birds 1 stone, I open the cabinet and step in, reach up to the top shelf, and that's when I hear the click of the door lock. An NBSP. While there is a light, I immediately feel a pressure change and the heat start to climb. I have about a half a bathtub's worth of space. One half of that space I can stand in. The other is under a heater that I can get under on my butt or knees. The first thing I do is push on the door, but it doesn't budge. I try to kick, but I can't get enough force with the lack of room. The heat is starting to get uncomfortable and I've noticed it's becoming even harder to breathe. I knew not to panic. It actually never crossed my mind. Instead I went into a problem-solving mode. I take a look at the shelves to see if I have anything I can use to pry open the door. It's a new truck they just gave me. I had safety manuals regarding filters, a grounding cable and a few brass clips. I know the door is made of steel and it also has a seal going around to make it watertight. I'm a metal model builder and I knew that brass versus steel. I had no chance. Still I tried to pry the door and just like I knew it would, the clamp just bent. I looked at the steel walls and it was getting really hot now. I took off my bigger clothes and saw a loose bolt on the wall. I thought if I can get the bolt out I could breathe through the hole until someone finds me. I started to take out the bolt, but it wasn't long before the nut on the outside stopped me and it was just spinning. At this point it was becoming even harder to get a breath and it was so hot. My body felt tight from the heat. I needed to conserve air and cool down, and with me realizing there was no way to escape from this steel coffin I sat down. Looking up at the heater I thought maybe the heater can get me some airflow. I turn on the heater and the air that was coming out was cooler than the air in the cab. At this point I knew I had done everything I could. The air was so hard to breathe that it felt like I was wearing a clogged respirator. I knew that I only had minutes before I was going to pass out from the heat or suffocate from the lack of air. I start to pound on the door with the brass clip but quickly realize that in construction banging is normal. Instead I start banging SOS, hoping that the repeated rhythm would get someone's attention. An NBSP. It's funny. People say when they have these near-death experiences that they think of their family, their kids, or what they could have done. I didn't have any of that. I'm a father of 2 children and I have a family that loves me, and the only thing that was in my mind was, breathe. Tapping on the door laying on the floor in this flux state felt similar to being in a deprivation tank. I know this sounds stupid, crazy, but it wasn't just the word. It was spoken, but didn't hear it with my ears. I sat there breathing to this voice and tapping SOS on the door. At some point in this reality I found myself in. I thought I will do this until I pass out. It was so hot and so hard to breathe. The world became very small. I don't know how long I was like this. I had no perception of time. In a moment I hear the same click that had locked me in, but this time instead of dread I felt euphoric relief. An NBSP. Like lightning starting at my toes and running up my spine. The energy ran back into me and I leapt from the cabinet and lied on the grass panting. I can't tell you the feeling. It turns out my foreman had stopped to check on me. He didn't see me and was about to drive away but heard the rhythm. He thought I was working on something. He looked on the other side of the truck and didn't see me, and that's when he seen the cabinet moving. He came over and braced the door, knowing that I was about to pour out. I'm eternally indebted to this man. In total I was trapped for just over 40 minutes. An NBSP. It's been odd getting back into things. I sat down at my desk after all this happened and I felt like I had almost made this all up and that I was just dying under the heater still. My girlfriend and my hobbies have been helping me ground myself, and as someone who has tried to spread the word about mental health, getting some help to process this real-life horror movie is nothing to be ashamed of. I have objectives. 1. Those doors need to be recalled. 2. Why were the walk-in cabinets locks changed from the standard 2-stage lock to this death trap? An NBSP. I tried to call the company but they refused to comment and wouldn't even talk to me when I went in to get my old new truck. Sucks. I can't take off time from work either because WSIB is 70%, takes 3 weeks, and with my family looking for a new home to rent I can't take the time for history and payments. It feels like deep down these people are going to get away with everything and I will be the one left almost cooked alive and trying to pretend it didn't happen. An NBSP. Thanks for reading, and again please understand that this was more for me. An NBSP. Too long, did not read. I was trapped in an airtight cabinet where the boiler was cooking me alive as I was losing air. Trapped for a total of 40 minutes. Suffocating and boiling alive, I was rescued by my foreman after he heard me banging SOS on the door. An NBSP. Update 1. I got some messages asking about the lock. I don't have a part number at the moment, but here is a small video of the lock and where I was trapped. An NBSP. Update 2. I want to clarify a few things. The company that I work for is Great ATM. The companies I'm currently looking to see what goes on are the sellers and manufacturers of the truck. Both manufacturer and seller refuse to speak to me and my union is not talking much either. I just want to know things are moving. Also, my workplace mechanic took apart the lock today and found that indeed it's a freezer lock and they did install it without the safety mechanism. He drilled a hole and connected a bolt to fix the problem until the manufacturer can come up with something better. I'm not driving that truck. I just can't believe they knowingly put this lock on the walk-in cabinet with no release. If you're in the US, file a report with OSHA. This would be considered a near miss, and by law your foreman should be reporting it to them anyway. As someone who has been in 2 near-death experiences, I feel you. I also know what you mean by the world got smaller. Good luck, and that was a fun read. I'm so glad you're okay, but this is a huge design flaw. An actual area that you are meant to go in and isn't able to open from the inside? I'd speak to a lawyer. Sue the shit out of them. That's a death trap. You hear people say romantic stuff like they think about their family or a loved one in life or death scenarios, but really, the brain doesn't have room for it. It only thinks, how do I survive? Scary story. I hope you can help bring about change. You would definitely be able to sue the company here for trauma. Lawyer up. I normally don't suggest lawyers and I hate them, but fuck these guys who won't even talk to you after you almost died.